Hey Geminis, good morning. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot. Hey, so quick fact for Geminis, because Geminis love facts, and it's some really good advice when I'm looking at your cards right now. So when you look at the planets and the way that they move around an astrological wheel, they all go clockwise, right? So they make their way from the first house to the second house, to the third house, to the fourth house, and so on. But the nodes of the moon actually move in the opposite direction. They go counterclockwise. So right now, you guys are dealing with the nodes in your second and eighth house. We'll get to that in a minute. But realize that by the summer, those nodes are going to move over to Gemini and Sag counterclockwise. So it's going to move into your first and seventh house. That's a lot for a Gemini, and that's a lot of changes. And as well, you guys have Uranus and Taurus in your 12th house, which is going to continue to bring up things from your subconscious in rather sudden and unexpected ways that is actually it's growing you in a way of reaching some rather unknown stable territory for Geminis, and that's going to be really great for you. But we are still dealing with the nodes in your second and eighth house, so let's talk about money, because it's definitely affecting you financially in a few different ways. This eclipse in Cancer hit you in your second house. If you haven't felt anything yet, it's coming, but I have a feeling most of us already know what these situations are. Your second house is how you earn money. It's the income that you have, or it could sometimes reflect what you get paid from a job. It's really never about unexpected income. This is the income that you rely on. But the second house is also related to how you see yourself and your self-worth, because money, pentacles in tarot, second house in astrology, it's really just a symptom, because when you get down to the bottom of it, what it's talking about is your value, or how you see yourself, your self-worth. And so that's all getting triggered now, because that was opposing that eighth house, which is other people's money, or how other people value you. And you see it's all connected. So when I see someone going through a second/eighth house transit on that axis, I first off ask them what's going on with your money, what's going on with your job, and what is going on. Do you have a partner who's maybe going through? Eighth house can be a spouse having some financial issues, and it could be gains or losses. And because you have Jupiter now moving through that eighth house as well, I suspect it could actually maybe what have looked like hard times. There may have been some sacrifices, maybe tightening the belt, getting a little bit, Capricorn's earth, which is somewhat uncomfortable for a Gemini. So you might have had to face some consequences or get real about some stuff. But with Jupiter there, I think if you're putting in the hard work, those things are just going to solve themselves. But what I really want to focus on here, and the way that you have to solve financial issues, is by understanding the value of yourself and what you allow others, how you allow others to affect you. Because if you are dealing with people that do not treat you well, or dealing with people that there's not an equal give and take, or you don't feel like they're with you for the right reasons, these could really be affecting you in a way of manifesting your second house, your income, and your self-worth. And Pluto talks about where you give your power away. In your 8th house, you may have been attracting people that maybe don't understand you or don't understand what you're worth, and really that's just because it's a reflection of what you have going on in that 2nd house, of you not realizing the things that you want. This 8th house is a tricky situation. On the level of the obvious levels of astrology, it could talk to about inheritance, taxes, things of that nature. It could also talk about sex and intimacy and your ability to connect with others. And with Saturn there, it's telling me that you need to work through some of these issues before you can attain a partnership in which you feel emotionally intimate and attached with, one that's healthy for you. And that definitely plays out in the cards that came out for you. Because starting in week 1, we have the 10 of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords reversed, and the Wheel of Fortune. Great cards for week number 1. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be kind of sipping my coffee a lot. I'm kind of getting over some kind of a cold / eclipse in my 6th house kind of thing. So I think anyone that experienced that eclipse in their 6th house is probably just starting to regain some strength. I was out of it for 2 days straight. I couldn't move off the couch. But today, I feel like some pressure has been released, and I'm feeling a little less foggy, and I have a little more energy. So let's dig in here. You may have come to a realization that your pentacles, your money, your values have got to become a priority. And you're making them a priority. Because look, again, I have to remind you that money is always a symptom of how we feel about ourselves. And so when we start to see our value and what we bring to the table and what we're worth, then we start walking away from situations that could cause heartache and pain for us. And that's exactly where you're going to turn your Wheel of Fortune around in your favor, is by focusing on you, knowing exactly what you're worth, and walking away from things and people that hurt you. Right? And so I want to elaborate, because you also got the 5 of Cups. And if this isn't your energy, then it may be a partner that you're dealing with. And this is a person that wants to stay in a negative energy and probably is continuously focusing on past pains and hurts, which really isn't matching your vibe at all right now, Gemini. You're ready to move on, I think. Or you're struggling going between understanding what didn't work in the past, because you see this person is really focusing in on the spilled cups and not realizing there's still 2 more full cups back here. But next to that, you have a Queen of Pentacles. So there may be some sort of stability coming in, but I also see this as somebody who's really trying to attach to you for their stability. Okay, so this works in a funny way. When you're not feeling great about yourself, these people come into your life, right? These people that kind of aren't happy with their life, so they kind of leech on to you. It's not a negative thing. You just have to know and be aware and, not invest in these types of relationships. And that's exactly what you're doing, is not investing in those types of relationships. So Gemini, I think this eclipse has got you in a really good place of starting to realize how this kind of mentality, either yours or someone else's, can really affect your ability to manifest and find stability in your life. So I'm looking at Geminis like this is kind of a solo game right now. And that's okay. That's great, because when you stop giving energy to those relationships that don't work for you, and you start putting energy into yourself, the rest just sort of falls into place. You kind of just, at this point, we're all going through this, especially during eclipse season, and then we have all of this fantastic Capricorn energy going on, which oh goodness, I mean, this hasn't happened since maybe like the 1200s. It's kind of a transition. So there's so much change going on in everyone, okay? Everybody is transforming at some really deep levels. And Gemini, it looks to me like you're changing the game, because you absolutely do not want to settle for what you've had in the past. You're manifesting something brand new. But be careful here. Because as you're manifesting, you have to be so careful with where you are in your mind. You cannot be in a negative place focusing on things that didn't work or you weren't satisfied with. Because the universe is handing you something and you're just feeling disconnected. You are not content with what you have right now. And I think you're not content with a connection. I think what you truly want is this Two of Cups. I think what you really want is a very deep soulmate connection. The question is, are you going to be willing to see what the universe is handing your way? Or are you going to focus on all the ways that you've been disappointed or discontented in the past? Careful with that manifestation energy, because if you focus on your past and if you focus on the type of people you were attracting in the past, you're really going to just experience that over and over again. I say it all the time. You might be dating different people, like a different face, but the same situation. And I don't think that's what Gemini wants to do. I feel you guys really moving into a new place, and I feel like Gemini's really taking control. But they're taking control of their emotional world, because look, this is so great. I know. Look at all these swords. Every sword card that I pulled for you guys is in reverse. So what does this tell me? Gemini might finally be getting out of their own way. Gemini might be actually making moves to get out of their head and experience things and situations from a different place. This is so exciting. Look at this. It's a decision to stop having anxiety over things. You know, this person in the upright, this would mean that you're staying up late at night, you're worrying things, and you can't disregard the fact that our mind can really take things out of control. One little worry and we can make a mountain out of a molehill, right? This is very mercurial energy. I'm a Virgo, so I get it. We could make anxiety occur in situations that it's just not called for. And I think you're realizing that. And I think you're realizing how your thoughts and your fears and your anxiety is keeping you trapped in the same place all of the time. So this could manifest in ways where you're not willing to take risks. But it could also manifest in a place where you're not willing to give or accept situations that do not offer emotion. Because that's really what that Gemini is looking for. And so as I started to explain to you with the nodes, is that the Cancer Capricorn nodes are clearing out a lot of old ways of thinking and habits and the way that you approach situations, from money to love to anything, right? We're talking about abundance and how you feel you deserve it, okay? And I think for Geminis, in a lot of times, in a lot of ways, they use their mind, their ability to analyze situations, and they may go about it in somewhat of an unhealthy manner. And by that, I just mean stress and worry, just assuming the same things are going to occur that did in your past. And this is really a theme for everybody right now. We're breaking karmic cycles. So you have no choice but to let go of those worries and anxieties from the past, because they quite simply, they're just not going to happen anymore. And you've learned, and everyone around you has learned their lessons. Saturn and Pluto is a great teacher of karmic lessons, and Pluto ends the cycle and lets you start all over again from a different place. And your overall energy, bottom of the deck, is the Ace of Cups. This is a new emotional opportunity for you. And so I think this happens in the next few months for you, once you clear out all of this energy and you get your, and it's not just finances, but you get straight on your value and how you will allow others to value you and how you allow that to affect you. And it's just kind of mastering the shutting off of other people's opinions. You know, Gemini has a way of assuming other people are thinking certain ways when they may not be. You guys are so intellectual, but you may not come at things comfortably from a real emotional place. And that's what's happening. And it has to happen because by the summer, you guys step into the North Node. And so you have to be so right on all the levels. If you talk to anybody who's a Capricorn or a Cancer, they can tell you that having the North and South nodes in their signs created a lot of change internally for them. And this will happen for you as well. So, Gemini, you're kind of next. The spotlight is going to be on you. I really want to point out here the way these cards kind of mirror each other, right? Like the ability to manifest if you've given up the stress and the mental anxiety that you approach situations with. And the idea that you are discontent with what you have right now in front of you because you're breaking a cycle of feeling trapped. See how that works? Isn't it great? So you realize you have to break these cycles. And so then in searching for real connection, you can no longer attract people that are not emotionally available. And the Knight of Cups is not emotionally available when he's in reverse. So you want that true connection, and so you have to turn your back and disconnect from these types of situations. And Gemini, a lot of these cards are showing me that light blue color of the throat chakra, which means you're about to start communicating. That's not rare for a Gemini. You guys are great at communicating, but are you communicating on a deep level? And this is what I want to tell you. I feel like all of this going on in your 8th house, the Pluto, the Saturn, the Sun, and the Mercury, is causing you to change the way that you communicate, because that communication is not coming from a place of, quick mind rhetoric. And, sometimes you guys could be really funny, but there's, you have to really get intimate in these conversations now. 8th house, you have to learn how to communicate like a Scorpio. That could be really scary, but Scorpios go deep. Scorpios get to the bottom of it. They're not happy with, they're just not amused with surface chatter, okay? You'll know a Scorpio because a Scorpio will ask you questions that kind of take you aback a little bit. Like you're not prepared, like somebody will say, hey, are you enjoying the weather today? And a Scorpio will say something much deeper to you, like, what is the worst wound you've ever obtained in your life from a relationship or something like that. And you're really going to have to start to express yourself from this emotional level. And that's the energy you have to step in now, because the North Node is demanding this transformation for you in your 8th house. As well, you're going to have to start fighting for yourself. If you have situations in the 8th house where someone is taking advantage of you, someone is not there for you because they love you, but they might be leaning on you financially, or just undervaluing you in any way, possibly even refusing to work with you. Geminis have to learn to walk away, but they can't just walk away. Geminis are probably really great at ghosting people, and Pluto won't allow that. Now you have to explain yourself. You have to explain your emotional place to people. And once you start, it gets easier, but it's the starting, it's exposing, it's the peeling back the layers that's really going to change things up for you. And so it's like ripping off that Band-Aid, right? Like you've just got to do it. I think Gemini has to start having those deep conversations with people in their lives. And this doesn't just have to be about, an intimate love relationship. This is probably across the board, family, friends. I do want to talk a little bit, because you guys have Aries in your 11th house, and Eris is sitting in Aries, and Eris can kind of lay low. She's the goddess of discord, but she's not going to lay low right now because she's squaring all of this going on in your 8th house, 11th house, 8th house squaring. So you may also have issues coming up with really close friends, and maybe talking behind your back or starting shit, and you are gonna have to confront that, Gemini, because it can't go on. Again, you're moving into that 1st house North Node. You have got to learn to honor yourself, make yourself a priority, and not settle for people that aren't willing to see you for who you are. So Eris might be causing a little bit of discord in your friendships in order for you to see your self-worth and have the strength to walk away from that. I see that a lot going on right now. And a Gemini can kind of go back and forth romanticizing the past with these people and these connections. And, oh, we've been friends for 20 years and they may have stabbed me in the back, but, I know them so well and I'm just going to forgive. But Gemini, there has to be a part of you that realizes that each time that you do that, you may not actually be forgiving as much as you think you are. You might really just pocket those hurts and carry them with you until you become really, really heavy. And you have to cut them off. North Node, second house, Cancer. If someone is going to be in a Gemini's life at this time and step up and be a major player, they are going to have to acknowledge your value, your self-worth, and come at you with some real emotional depth right now. And surface I'm sorry's aren't going to work. But Gemini, please remember this goes vice versa. So if you have people in your life that you're doing this to, and you have Jupiter going through that 8th house, well, Jupiter's going to bring justice to you as well. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? If you're treating other people in a not so honest way, then expect a lot of karmic lessons to come along with that. Gemini, much like Cancer is going through right now at the time of this eclipse, has got to learn to stand up to themselves and stand up for themselves in complete and utter independence and authenticity. And that's what happens when that North Node goes into your sign. You have to get real honest. I'm going to pull an animal card for you. And this is sort of the energy that Spirit is asking you to harness at this time through the month of January. I don't know if I pissed a Gemini off or what, but okay, here we go. I hope not. I hope not. It all comes from love, Gemini. It really, truly does. Ooh. Spirit wants you to be a raccoon. Oh my God, are they not the cutest? Are they not the cutest animals? Like, I know they could rip your face off, but still there's always that element where you just kind of, you want to hug them anyways. It always reminds me of that part in Elf where he tried to hug the raccoon and the raccoon, you know, chewed his face off. Okay, Gemini, let's read you the raccoon for the month of January. This is very much an earth element, so first of all, you're going to have to be familiar with getting a little grounded. Like I said, getting out of your mind a little bit and coming back into what's real, what's stable, the things that you have, the things that are working, and kind of like really, whenever I feel like someone is telling you to get grounded, I feel like I have to talk about gratitude. You know, in order to get grounded, you have to be really grateful for what you have. And if you're really grateful for what you have, then more of those things will come to you. And you can't get focused and set on the things that you don't have, because the universe will just keep delivering you crap because that's how you feel about it. So focus on what you have. Also, I know it's like really crappy. Although we're having like a warmer than usual winter, it's still like crappy and dreary outside, but do what you can to get connected to nature, okay? Do what you can to kind of look out your window and watch the squirrels and the birds and the trees and just kind of appreciate what the universe has provided you. That's a really great exercise. I am very heavy earth and water, and so I'm always leaning between like getting grounded and then just letting my emotional feels and my intuition kick in. But sometimes I go a little too watery and I get a little ungrounded. And so on a recent trip to Sedona, I kind of pocketed a little rock. One of the little red rocks, isn't it gorgeous? And so when I feel like I'm not grounded, believe me, I've learned over the years to understand the feeling of not being grounded. Sometimes I just let this rest on my chakras while I lay still. and just allow that grounding energy and my connection to earth and Gaia and the beauty of everything that surrounds me, and that really helps to calm my emotional being. Sometimes, even if you can't get outside in nature, you know, like I love to go barefoot in the grass or the dirt, the rocks, but sometimes you can't do that. So you got to kind of bring those elements into you, you know. Raccoon, talented, shadowy, and in hiding. Raccoon energy is at play within all artists to greater or lesser degrees. At best, it indicates talent, tenacity, and skillfulness with a particular musical instrument or creative tool. Its shadow side points to an unresolved issue around self-image and success. Sometimes using a stage name or wearing a mask works in an artist's favor. Other times it limits creativity. Am I who my audience thinks I am? What if I am ready to grow into something more? Raccoon energy won't let us off the hook until this creative ego fear is resolved. What am I saying, Gemini? When in balance, you're a generous friend and an exceptional artist. When out of balance, you could be competitive and a starving artist. And to bring into balance, you have to make new work. So important, Gemini. I think this really goes into the fact that if you're approaching things from a place of pretending to be emotionally invested when you're not, or pretending to be someone that you really aren't. Geminis are great at that. Your duality comes out, and I get it. But sometimes that other side of your duality could really be keeping you from making the connections that you need to make. So just be conscious of that, and try to be a little bit more yourself. Try to be a little more grounded, you know, and let other people in. Let other people in. Let them see the emotional side of you. It'll help you to realize what a beautiful soul that you have as well. All right, Geminis, I will be talking to you again a little bit before February. I wish you lots and lots of love. Have a wonderful week. Bye.